How to factor binomials? Binomials are also called two terms. The term bi stands for two, so any polynomial that has two terms is called a binomial. Now, the first step, as any other factorization, is to take the greatest common factor or factor -1, and then that binomial will fall into one of these categories, either a difference of squares, a sum of squares, a difference of cubes, or a sum of cubes. Let's have one example that you're frequently asked on the homework. For example, let's factor x squared minus 4. It should follow into one of these categories. Right, but the first step is to take out the greatest common factor, which, do they have anything in common? No. Therefore, let's go and see if it follows into one of these categories. Definitely it's not going to be the cubes, so you can cross them out of your list. It's a minus, so it's not going to be a sum of cubes, so it's going to be a difference of squares. Now, but before that, we need to see if we can rewrite this as n squared. For example, one of the steps I would recommend you to do is write a parenthesis square minus a parenthesis square, and see if you can put a term that's going to be raised to the second power that will give you that x squared. For example, what square give you x squared? That will be x. So x to the square give you x squared. Same idea here. What will give you 4? A 2. So it's telling you that you have a difference of squared, x squared minus 2 squared. Therefore, using the formula, a squared minus b squared is equal to a minus b, a plus b. Just for an extra information, this is also called a product of conjugates. A minus b and a plus b are called conjugates. One is the difference between two numbers and the other is the sum. For future reference, remember conjugates. Now let's go back to the problem. X squared minus 2 squared. Therefore, this is your a and this is your b. So it will be x minus 2 times x plus 2. Now, did we factor this completely? Can you factor x minus 2? It does not follow into any of these categories, so it's prime. X plus 2 is prime as well. Therefore, our final answer is x minus 2, x plus 2. Let's do another example that you are frequently asked. Let's look at this example. A to the 4th power minus 1. Now, we look over the categories that we have here. None of them have cubes, so definitely it's not these two. So what about squares? Maybe this could be a difference of squares. Can we write this as a difference of squares? Let's see that. First, we're gonna write a parenthesis square minus parenthesis square. Now, what term to the square give you a to the 4? A square. If you use low exponents, 2 times 2 give you 4. Therefore, a squared to the square give you a to the 4th power. Now, what number square give you 1? 1 times itself. Oh, then we can write this as a difference of squares. So we will still use this formula. But in this case, our a is going to stand for a squared, and our b, our second term, is going to be 1. So be careful in that. Now, when we're going to write a product, or the factorization is going to be a squared minus 1 times a squared plus 1. Are we done factoring this? Let's double check this. Can you still factor this? A squared minus 1. Let's see. Well, it's not cubes, it's not a squares, maybe it's a difference of squares. Let's see if we can write that with a parenthesis. Let's see. That will be a squared give you a squared minus what squared give you 1. Oh, then yes, this can be a different squares. So if you factor that, that's gonna give you a minus 1 times a plus 1. Now, what about this factor, a squared plus 1? It's definitely not cubes. Now, it has a minus. Now it has a plus. So, it's a sum of squares. Remember that sum of the squares is always prime. I will write it here. So, you know that you must remember this fact, that a squared plus b squared is always prime. Therefore, since you cannot factor it, you're gonna just write a squared plus 1. Therefore, that's gonna be your final answer.